I know, no kidding.
And we are live once again with Raw Talks. And this time we are with Robin Daniels. Good day to you, sir.
Oh, good day to you, Stefan. Good to see you, man. Oh my
Good to see you
God.
too.
We finally made it fucking happen.
Yeah. And I want to do something real fun today
Okay.
because I took my chat GPT with me and I wanted to ask, who is entrepreneur Robin Daniels?
Mm. Well, oh
All
yeah.
right, let's have some fun with it. So, diving back in, Robin Daniels is basically a bit of a rock star in the entrepreneurial. He's been around the block with major roles at companies like Salesforce and LinkedIn, and he's known for helping businesses scale up and build strong, vibrant cultures. So, if you want a lively take, just picture him as one of those go-to mentors who's always got a good strategy up his sleeve.
But chat GPT, I'm looking at him. Isn't
Okay.
that amazing?
That's
Well,
like the ultimate confidence boost. I got to do that more often. Just go in and ask. I wonder what Grok or Gemini will say. But no, thank you for starting that
yeah,
way. It's
no,
awesome.
don't ask Grok because he's apparently honest. So it's good to meet you, Robin. I'm really excited because the reason why we're talking today is because my now partner in New York, Michael Kainetsky, he introduced us to each
Yeah,
other. And within that conversation, we soon realized that we have a lot together, a lot in common. And first of all, we are both Danes, which
I
is
know.
crazy.
I
Uh,
think we hide it very well, though.
well, I apologize for my Danish accent, but apart from that, that's really amazing. Where are you now, Robin?
I'm actually in Denmark. I've been here for the last week. I'm here for a few more days, and then I head to the U.S. this weekend. Go back home. Yeah, I live officially in the U.S., but I could spend a lot of time in Denmark. I mean, I've spent half of my life in Denmark, half of my life US/UK. Lived a lot of different places. I'm kind of one of those people who can easily fit in anywhere, but I belong nowhere, if you know what I mean. It's like it's a gift, but also sometimes a curse, depending on, how you're feeling.
Yeah, I would say I feel the same. I think a type of loneliness,
Yeah,
missing
exactly.
home, and then not
Yes.
actually knowing where home is.
Totally. I feel like this last year, for example, I've been traveling, a lot of speaking engagements at various conferences and meeting customers and team meetings, probably traveling like 60-70% of my time. And you start getting a little bit of that empty feeling, I think, sometimes when you're just like from one hotel to another, you feel a little rootless. And I've always been like, I like, being on the road and so on, but even that was a little much for me. I'm like thinking, okay, because then you just like, you feel like you don't have like a base or a routine or a set of friends, family kind of that you can kind of lean on. So it becomes a little hard. Again, it's like first world problem, to be clear. I mean, but
Yeah,
but still, it doesn't take away from the feeling that it's like, yeah, that this nomad life ish that you have. I know that when we spoke, and me too. It's great on paper, but it could be a little empty sometimes.
absolutely. So we're not talking about me at all, of course.
We should,
Uh,
though.
you're an entrepreneur, and your journey has been quite extraordinary, and then you end up in the end, at least now, working with a Danish company. That
I
makes
know,
no
I
sense.
know, I know. And you know what? It's funny. It was not in my, like, vision board. It wasn't in my plans. I mean, I left Denmark when I was 21. I bought a one-way ticket to California because I wanted to be a part of the Silicon Valley revolution. I wanted to work in tech with all the nerds of the world. I'm a nerd myself, and I spent over 20 years of my life, like, working with some of those companies that was just mentioned by ChatGPT, Salesforce, LinkedIn, but even smaller companies, Box and Matterport, companies I've taken public, which was been super fun. And then during COVID, I moved to Denmark with my family. We wanted to try it, but I was still actually working for a US company, but I was just working from Denmark because everybody was working remote. And I just thought, fuck, I can work remote as well. The reality of time zones made it a little bit more difficult than I actually thought it was going to be, the 9 hours time difference between Denmark and California. But that's neither here nor there. So I ended up leaving, and then I wanted to do something else. So I ended up like doing some advisory work, consulting work for a couple of years. That was a little empty for me. I mean, I liked the freedom of it, but I didn't love uh, I guess the satisfaction of like getting shit done with a team of amazing people.
Calling it prostitutional work.
Yeah, now we're really getting wrong. I mean, kind of like what it felt like at times, you know? Like, so you get paid well and you meet some great people, but it's also like it's a little empty. Let's put it that way. And then like I wanted to join a company. I was speaking honestly to companies in the US and UK and Singapore, and I ended up meeting this Danish company. And so I just thought, what would be kind of cool if I can scale this Danish company globally and internationally and so on. So when I joined, I mean, it was a very different company. We sold one product, the name was different, the go-to-market motion. And so even though I'm not the founder of this company, I mean, I kind of feel like I am in some ways because we've changed everything about it since I've been there in the last 2+ years. But it's cool being in a Danish company because I get to go back, visit my family and friends, but then I also get to leave. When I'm in Denmark, I miss the US. And when I'm in the US, I miss Denmark. It's kind of like that
Yeah.
feeling. So
Where are you
I'm
from,
kind
by
of
the way,
blessed.
in Denmark? Just on a Danish
Copenhagen,
note.
right in the heart of Copenhagen. Like it doesn't get much more central. If you know, it's in Danish called Pisserand, it's like the Latin Quarter. Like that's where I was born and raised. Yeah, I was like right there in the center. And I grew up like in Christiania, if you know that part of Copenhagen as
My
well.
favorite part of Copenhagen. But
So yeah,
because of
very,
the
very, very
vibe, actually.
yeah, yes, yes, yeah.
I used to take
Uh,
my son there just on the playground because it was
of
much more.
course, yeah, you have to. So it's funny that it's kind of ironic. I mean, even I sometimes have to go like, how did I end up at a Danish company? And I like it a lot of times. I mean, there's a lot of things I like about it. A lot of the team is ambitious and growth minded. But there was also even when I came in, sometimes I felt like we were just thinking too small. I like that. This is part of why I came in. It's like, how do I push this company that has amazing technology, amazing vision, but just like their ambition level, I felt was small. And that's not just true of this company. When I joined, I felt honestly, it's been true of a lot of the companies I end up getting introduced to, advising and so on during those couple of years. Like what I see in Europe in general, because it wasn't just in Denmark. I advised companies in Germany and UK and so on. Amazing technology, amazing founders, um, really thoughtful how they built stuff, but their go-to-market ambitions were so low. And the US is exactly opposite, right? And so
Mm,
in Europe, you got it's great stuff that you're building. It's like, let's go see if anybody wants it. And in the US, it's the opposite. It's like they build stuff that's kind of half baked, and then you go, fuck, this is so awesome. Everybody's gonna want
yeah,
this. Let's go
let's
sell the shit
go.
out of it, right? And it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
and my thinking was, can I marry these two a little bit together? Like, can I have really like great stuff and great people, but also be very ambitious about the impact that we want to see in the world? So that's my hope, and I'm on that kind of journey now
Yeah,
with this
no, no,
company.
because I agree with you. In Danish, we call it the duck pound.
I know,
Uh,
yeah, it's no shit.
and I had to leave
Yeah, yeah,
because it's simply too small for me.
yeah,
And you know, when you speak to ambitious companies in Denmark, yeah, we're gonna open up a new market, and it's gonna be Sweden. Why? Why?
I know. The amount of times I had that conversation with entrepreneurs, because I have a good like network through the VCs, and they're like, "Yeah, we're
Mhm.
gonna open in Sweden and then Norway." I'm like, "What? What? I mean, it's gonna be will you start there, or you go into England or UK or US? It's gonna be effort. So you might as well go for the big prize versus the small prize, right?
Exactly,
I
because we're
get it.
gonna
There's
fail
a
anyway along the way, so we might as well.
course fail forward, fail big, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Exactly.
So there are two things
Hmm.
I find quite interesting to talk to you about. One is culture, and and the other is scaling. But first of all, because I think most companies, startups, even corporates for that matter, all have true and real problems with culture.
Hmm.
And I really have wondered many times because I've always created the culture based on me
Yeah,
in my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
companies.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't actually have any
Mhm.
theoretical background in
Yeah.
regards to it. I've just been running, and then
Mhm.
those people who ran with me had the same mentality, and the rest got left behind. So I wonder, how do you actually create
Mhm.
a culture?
It's a great question, and it's one I got so often. So these couple of years when I was doing, I would say, advisory work, I got introduced to so many CEOs and entrepreneurs, and they were really great all over the world. And I've been a CMO many times at WeWork and Matterport and other companies, and taking them public and all this kind of stuff that you know. And so I thought many of these CEOs would talk about category creation, branding, go to market, all this stuff. And they did for sure. But what they were really curious about is what is the alchemy, the magic that goes into creating a high performance culture? And how do you create like these cultures that just thrive? Because everyone kind of goes through those different peaks and valleys where it's like, it's great then, and then something is not so great. And a lot of it seems to depend on the personalities or who's there and who's not there in a company and so on. And so I got the question so much that I started putting down like a program around this. And I really came up with like kind of 5 core principles. And it's based on, of course, my pattern recognition from when I look back at the companies I've worked for where it's gone really well, and then some of the times when it's not gone so well. And then the number one thing, and there's like kind of 5 principles, I'll lay them out quickly. The first one is really everything starts with clarity. Everything. Clarity of mission, clarity of values, clarity of behaviors, and so on. And so when I think about like the company I learned it from the best at first was Salesforce. I was there in my early days. And Mark Benioff was such a great force of nature. And he would always repeat the same mission over and over and over again. And nearly to everyone was blue in the face. But it became so embedded into everyone's soul who was working at Salesforce that everybody could both like reiterate what the mission was, but also felt like they were like part of this evangelical movement of like trying to change an industry that was kind of very like stale and so on. We were like the small company fighting against the big companies, Microsoft and
Was it
Oracle.
even existing back then? That's another question. I guess Salesforce made it global.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so it's funny. I mean, now we take it for granted because it's one of those companies that you just can't imagine not even being around. But when I was there, right, it was like we were fighting as Oracle and SAP and Microsoft, who are still, of course, around and doing very well. But we were just kind of like the startup, and we couldn't win if we're just trying to compete on features and like price and so on. So we competed on like we're a different kind of company to do business with. Our model is different. The way we treat you is different. Interact with us and the way that we're in this together. Like we only succeed if you succeed, and we're kind of in this together. But it came from this notion of clarity. No matter who you asked in finance and engineering and sales and marketing, everyone kind of knew what the mission was. Because what happens if you don't have clarity, I think at best it leads to a little bit of chaos, right? And maybe some misalignment and not the best results. At worst, honestly, it leads to toxic workplaces. It leads to political behaviors in the workplace because everything. If you don't have clarity on what matters, then everyone becomes in it for themselves. There's just like,
And you start
yeah,
opinionating
of
your
course,
own.
yeah,
And what I think
yeah,
companies like at least like Salesforce, I don't know
yeah,
about the others, of course, that you work
yeah,
with,
yeah.
uh, is that they were talking a lot with their customers.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, absolutely. Yes,
so
yes.
so and I found the biggest discrepancy in most
Mm,
B2B companies.
yeah,
Doesn't matter whether you're corporate or your small town
mm,
startup
yeah, yeah,
in Lemming or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
the 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 part is when you ask a group of people, it can be
yeah.
founders even,
Mhm,
2 founders in a company. When you ask them, "Why do you think your customers buy from you?" You
mhm.
get 2 different answers.
So true. It's a great point. It's a great, great point. And I would say most of the companies that I work with, you probably have a little bit of that as well. It's a hard thing to nail, but I think the more you can get aligned on why customers love you. I mean, and this is also why again at Salesforce, the number one value is like customer success or customer trust, right? It's like
Yeah,
making sure that we get them and they get us, and we kind of like in this mutual relationship of
and there was a
success, which I think
feedback loop and stuff like that. I
for
remember it.
for for sure, right? And so it's like, I just learned early on, like, and that clarity, it just like, it led to, because there's no political infighting really, at least in the early days. I'm sure now it's a big company, it probably is, because I've heard that from others. But at that early days, it was like, there was no like misalignment around my shit is more important than yours. We
Yeah,
all knew what would matter the most, like, and we all
yeah,
went for that goal, right? And the number one thing matters more than the number two thing, and the number two thing matters more. So to have that clarity, it just makes everything so much more smooth. So clarity, I would say, is number one. And it's not just because it sounds great on paper, it's great for like result. It's also just leads to, I think, so much better happiness for the employees because you know what's expected of you and you know how you're being measured. And we know that we're all working on this same thing together. It's much more fun. You've been in probably political workplaces. Like, it's awful. Nobody likes that. Having to fight for yourself or watching out for being backstabbed. And like, oh, it's awful. And the second thing I would say is focus. And that becomes hard when you have a company that's ambitious and there's everything looks like a great opportunity, right? It's like, we can go after this segment over this market. We can build this product, and like everything, like being able to focus, because at the end of the year, when you look back on like what you achieved, you'll probably achieve one or two things really well. You're not going to achieve 10 things, even though that's usually on that PowerPoint list when you set out at the beginning, oh, we're going to do all this stuff. It's like, okay, hold your horses, right? You're going to
you
achieve
only
probably
get
one. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, being able to focus on the things that matter and being able to say no to the things that don't matter, oh, that's superpower. And it's, again, if one of those things sounds super easy, yeah, of course, we can do it. It's really hard because then things come in from the left and the right, and the board member has an idea, then the CEO has an idea. Oh, suddenly the CFO thinks we should do this. Then, suddenly we're getting offered to go into a new market in APAC. It's like all this stuff. Being able to hyper focus on the things that matter the most, and it's easier, I think, to hyper focus for more senior people. But when you're mid level, and especially if you're junior, and a lot of people are coming in and asking you to do stuff, it's hard. But again, it becomes easier if you have clarity, right? Because then you know what you're all working towards. But if you don't have clarity, then that focus just becomes,
Oh, shit
you
runs
know,
down.
of course,
You
right?
just need to make sure it's the same shit running all the way
Yeah,
down,
exactly.
that it doesn't change color.
I know. So, and you think about like Steve Jobs, right? One person many people idolize, and he sounds like an awful manager, but he's obviously created an amazing
Yeah, you can't
company, and
dispute
like
anything.
his ability to focus on the things that matter, at least from what it seems like on the outside, is just kind of remarkable. The third thing is really around accountability. And what I mean is being able to hold a team accountable and also the individuals accountable to progress and results without being an asshole. And this is like tough because it's about doing it with compassion and in a way that shows that we're in this together. Like the reason I'm asking you for status updates because if we're not succeeding, if that's on me too, then I can help you. Let me figure out what's not working so we can get ahead together. And if it's working, great. Let me empower you to do more of it. But I think a lot of people nowadays, the last, I think 10, 15 years, have become a little bit more afraid sometimes to hold people accountable because they may find seem too aggressive or like not friendly, because we kind of like morphed into workplaces into being like hyper
Totally
friendly.
woke. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, well, yeah. Maybe that's the right word, but it's like, and it's not about. I think it's so much work. It's just about but if you're trying to achieve great things together, then you also need to ensure that you hold people accountable to the results and the goals that you've set out. It's nothing an accident. I learned this again early days at Salesforce and at Bach is like very good at like holding each other accountable. And yes, sometimes it could get testy for sure. When you're in a high performance organization, that's the kind of part of it. But there was never any ill intent. It was always about because we want to succeed as a company and as a team, right? And I just think, the more you can learn how to do that in a way that's, again, empathetic, compassionate, the better your results are going to be. But it's a hard skill, and especially a hard skill for new managers. Even now, when I first got my first employees who would work for me, like, how do you then go and, hey, without being like the asshole, hey, give me a status update on this thing, right? You're like, oh, yeah. So, and of course, some people deal with that better than others, but it's a superpower. Being able to do that well and do it at all chains of that organization, from the individual to the team to the department to the company. Wow, what a gift as well. The fourth thing I would say is really around tenacity, urgency, having that sense that not letting things slide, that we want to like really run it down. Not hey, okay, it's Thursday at 4 o'clock. We'll do it tomorrow. No, no, like if there's something that's urgent, let's get on it and like crank it through. And you can't do it all the time. So you need to have a good enough filter to know when you lean into something because you don't want to burn out either. That's also a horrible culture. But there's an urgent culture when you kind of like have like a band of people working together on something that's really critical. That actually creates really strong bonds
I would say
together.
tribal way
Totally, totally.
of
And it
living.
actually it actually strengthens the culture in many ways. That people think it'll break it like to have these urgent things. Actually can strengthen a culture tremendously. Again, you got to do it selectively. You can't do it all the time. But having a culture where urgency is kind of built into it because we're so passionate about the outcome and the goals that we've set. 'Cause again, I see this is why I think the US has a little bit of an advantage over or what I see a lot in Europe. Sometimes because maybe people are a little bit sometimes too comfortable in Europe that they like, okay, we'll just get to it later. And again, it's not everyone. I think it's culture is changing, but I've seen it enough in some of these companies I've advised where I'm like, okay, I've said to the CEOs, I feel a little bit of lack of urgency.
I
You
think
have some
the
big,
more north
yeah,
you
yeah,
go,
yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, but I saw it.
and south, they just
I
don't
saw it in
bother
the
anyway.
UK. I saw it in Germany as well, in France as well. It's like some of these guys like, and I think it's changing because I think again, that there's a misunderstanding that urgency and tenacity means that you have to burn out. That's not what it's about at all. It's just about like being passionate, and I'm talking specifically, I think, about startups. Of course, if you're in a big company, that's huge. Maybe it's completely
Who
different, right?
cares?
I mean, it's completely different. But a
Yeah.
startup can only really survive if everyone at every level has a little bit of that urgency and tenacity to really kind of go for it. Or else I think it becomes some kind of a lifestyle business in many ways. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then you're not like a epic hyper growth kind of company and so on. And those are the kind of companies that I end up advising. Then the last thing, the fifth principle, which I think is so important, is recognition. And what I mean is to stop up and kind of just like take a moment to pause and think about the work that you've done, the team has done, how far you've come, a little bit of path. It goes such a long way. You know what happens if you don't stop and do that? People start losing motivation because it sends the signal that nobody cares. Like all this hard work you've done, all this stuff I just talked about, tenacity, working hard, kind of. And if you don't stop and recognize that, because there are, in a startup, you've been in many startups, there are good times and bad times. And if you don't stop and recognize it, people just start losing motivation. It's like, nobody cares. I'm working my ass off and my boss doesn't care. The company doesn't care. So you got to stop and figure out. And a lot of times, like you just said, it's just a pat on the back or sending a note or going over to, and say, hey, what you just did was awesome. Thank you so much for the extra work you put in the last week. It's small. And of course, sometimes it's a promotion, it's more salary, it's more, but those are rare occasions, actually. I think just that
Yeah.
building in that recognition and love into the culture goes a really, really long way. It sets the bar higher for next time too. So if
Well,
you've
it's
gotten here,
already
that
scientifically proven that
yeah,
that
uh,
in most cultures, the commission-based salary for a sales guy doesn't
yeah,
apply.
yeah,
It applies
exactly,
for the
exactly.
few psychos who
Yes.
who are always good to have, of course.
So totally. And it is really good. Yes. You want those killers on your team.
But it's more about feeling worth, you know,
Yes, yes, yes,
that's,
yes.
and feeling part of something important,
Uh-huh.
something
I
that
think
you
that,
can,
I
yeah,
mean,
you can
there's
learn
so many
something.
books written about motivation and all kinds of stuff, right? Like, how do you achieve great? I think it comes down to two things. I mean, you can simplify it. I think it's about feeling like you're part of something important and think you matter, right?
Hmm?
And then kind of making a difference towards that. Like, that you feel like that you look back on Friday and you feel like some of the stuff I did was worth me doing, versus like, I've had many weeks in my life where I've looked Friday night, I look back, I'm like, I worked my ass off, really busy, but I don't really know if I achieved anything. And those kind of weeks just kind of suck. It's like we all have them, and I still have them every now and then. But the more you can feel like I'm part of a group of people who really cares, and I'm making a difference. I mean, like, what more could you want? Yes, of course you want to get rich and you want to do well and all that stuff, but not the expense of those two things. I don't think for
I
most
think it
humans
comes
anyway.
down to one thing actually,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's emotional intelligence.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think that's well said. That's all it is. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
That's leadership,
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
2025.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it was different with
Mm.
Steve and such, back,
Yeah, yeah.
in the good old Microsoft
Yeah,
days and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that, but
Yeah,
now it's all
yeah.
about being, empathetic,
For
understanding
sure.
humans for real,
For sure.
because if I'm
Uh,
not part of this group, fuck you
mhm.
guys.
It's totally true. But it's so interesting because, you know, I now work in a workplace where there's a lot of generational differences. There are workplace differences. It's really like meaning you've got some in an office, you've got some hybrid, some remote, right? Then you've got generational differences as well. And then you could plus on top of that, so you got those two already, which are already like pretty big, like gaps, not gaps, right? But differences. And then you also have cultural difference. We have like Sensei is just over 200 people. We have people in, I think about 7 or 8 countries. I think it is like all over the world, and that also brings differences. And then like even in the U.S. where I'm based, we have I think 60 people in 25 states. You even got some regional differences as well, right? Because there's a
Very
political
regional
because
difference.
there's a political differences, and how
Yeah.
people think about the world. So you just got all this like, and so the key thing is to your point, emotional intelligence, being able to read a room, connect with somebody, understand their point of view, get them to like figure out how do you motivate that person who cares about this stuff versus this person who cares about something else, right? Like it's all connected to EQ. I agree completely.
So Sensei are doing LMS,
Hmm.
based on, Microsoft, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
And I'm just wondering because we are in. I actually believe we are the luckiest generation of
Mm,
all,
mhm,
you and me, because we got to experience the craziest lift and leap for
mhm.
humankind.
Yep.
Um, first computers and all the way to internet
Mm,
and now
mhm.
AI.
Yeah.
And I started writing a book about it. I actually started. I felt depressive
Mm,
last Saturday.
mhm,
Waking up, I think I dreamed about it because I don't really want to be our kids. Um, uh, but that perhaps is because I don't understand
mhm,
the event horizon. I don't see, nobody can see beyond anyway. So I'm just wondering, you're
mm,
living in it.
mhm, mhm.
What's your perspective on what's happening in reality these days?
I I am at the forefront of this in so many ways. So yeah, Sensei, we're basically an HR tech platform. We focus on what we call human success, and part of that is a learning platform, but part of it's also a goal setting, performance management platform. Part of it's employee engagement, where you can connect with each other and feel that sense of belonging. It's so that's why I took this job, because I just like it speaks to all the things that I care about so much. But I'm at the forefront of this. I mean, my son is 19. He's in college studying computer science. 5 years ago, that was the best idea in the world, and now it's like, is he going to be made obsolete? On my dark days, good thing about is, I sense you're an optimist, and I am too. But
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
certainly times where you go, "What's the last thing?" So in the dark days, I go, "Shit," my son is going to be like, what's going to be a hard job. But at the same time, I think, there's always going to be a need for like computer scientists who are really good at what they do, because
At
there's always
least
going to be more
understand
technology.
what it is, I would
For
say.
sure, for sure. And then I try to take, honestly, I mean, the long view on things. And what I mean is, um, my mother, she's a super hippie. She lived through kind of like some massive changes in society. She grew up in America, and she was marching in Washington during the Vietnam War. She was even there when Martin Luther King gave his "I Have a Dream" speech. And then she fled America because her then boyfriend, husband, was drafted into the army, and he didn't want to go. They were, anti-war people, and they left the US and they ended up in Europe, and they split up. And that's when my mom met my dad, who's Danish. But I just think, during that time, if you had had a 10-year-old kid or a 15-year-old kid, you would have thought, because the division was so high, there's so many emotions flying about what to do and so on. You got both geopolitical upheaval, technology upheaval with the nuclear, things that were
Mm.
happening. Computers were just starting to kind of come out. I mean, it was early days in '60s, but then it really started in '70s. Then in the '80s, of course, it really took off. But just like all this stuff, right? And so I'm just like trying to think, like, there's always going to be upheaval. And then even if I take my own life, if I'm honest about it, I came over, February 1st, 2000, to the US from Denmark. Everyone was hiring. It's the height of the dot-com era. Hustled my way to a job. A month later, March, the whole market crashed. And I'm like, holy shit, what just happened? This company I was with did not really end up making it. So I ended up having to hustle my way to another job, found it. 4 months later, that company went out. So it's like the first year was like challenging. And so
Yeah.
because the dot-com bubble burst, and then there was a new model that kinda came in with, like, SaaS and cloud computing and so on. Then in 2008, remember the housing crisis? Super tough, massive, like, economic downturn. Then we had COVID, which was unexpected. We learn as humans, I think, in society, how to deal with these things. And I think, so when it comes back, let me bring it back to AI. I think there's certainly things to be concerned about. I don't wanna, like, think that it's all, like, great. And I'm more concerned about it when it comes to, like, misinformation and people's realities splitting so much that we find less common ground. Because I think we need to come together even more. But if everyone's just getting their own hyper stylized version of the world and the
No,
truth, I think that's dangerous.
I thought today
Hmm.
we have become so connected
Yes,
that
yes, yes.
we got disconnected.
Yes, exactly, exactly, exactly. That's right. And so this is also when I think about, like, where's AI then going to take us? I'm an optimist, and the way I see it at my company is like, the storyline that I want to have in the world, that I want to stand behind, is that I want AI to become the superpower to empower people to get more motivated, learn better, connect with the right people at the right time, to bring us together. Because I do think we're more disconnected than ever, right? And that trend has been going on for a while, and I think AI has the potential to get you deeper into that bubble because it's so agreeable. When you say ask ChatGPT something, it just keeps agreeing with you, and most AI does that. So if you can use it actually to grow people, but not just to grow people, to connect people.
I actually
Yeah.
put in my ChatGPT
Yeah.
where you can predefine.
Mhm.
It says always disagree with me.
That's hilarious. I love that. And is it doing
That's
so?
not enough. Don't
Yeah,
call me. I'm good. Jesus Christ.
yeah. It's always like sometimes I ask the stupidest questions and it'll come back. That's a great question, Rob. I'm like, no, it's not a great question. Stop saying that.
How much
Oh my
flour
god.
do I put in the bread
I
for
know,
God's
I
sakes?
know, I know. And just also sometimes the stuff that comes back, I'm like, oh my God, this is so not accurate in any way. Anybody can go do a simple Google search and find out that this is not accurate. It just kind of makes shit up. I'm like, wow, okay.
I see. I see the. I started writing a book. I became an author in October, and I'm a very. I have a great addictive behavior, uh, and this is the greatest drug uh, to write books. But I just realized what we're actually looking at going forward within the next 3-5 years is the biggest leap of human mankind.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
And we had the growth. We're now
Hmm.
8 billion people. We will be
Hmm.
11, 12 billion
Hmm.
people on the planet. And that's it. And that means growth is
Yeah.
just continuously declining and declining and declining and declining. The whole capitalistic structure that we have been living in
Hmm.
the past 250 years,
Hmm.
uh, we don't want
But
it.
let me ask you back because I keep seeing these graphs, especially like shared online, that
Hmm?
the internet was so big, and then mobile came and it was even bigger, and then now, of course, AI. And I keep going like, is that real? I mean, like, the internet was it changed everything.
The TV did.
Of
Now it's
course, yeah, the TV,
no,
but then mobile, like everyone now, you go take a public train or bus, or you go out, everyone's just sitting on their mobile device all day. That changed everything dramatically, and everyone now has their own kind of version. You can get any app, any music, any movie you want, anytime you want, just at your fingertips. It's changed everything. It changed everything, and I think AI, I think it's going to be a little bit more subtle. There's no doubt there's going to be some ways it's going to be very obvious that it's going to change things, but I also think it's going to be like in the background going to change versus this visual thing that you see everyone now walking around. They walk down the street, they're just kind of walking with their phone. Right? It's like that is like just changed human behavior in a
I
way that
think
I
I
yeah,
think
I haven't seen before.
think about this maybe. Uh, AI will erupt humanity so much that we need to get back to the fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
We
Interesting.
need
Yeah.
we need to find the human connection again. And I
Mm-hmm.
think
Hmm.
AI is going to help us a lot, by the way, with
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
understanding. Because the reason why every kid now have anxiety or have
Hmm.
ADHD or is almost embarrassing if you don't have a diagnosis on yourself.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's quite crazy.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
It's
uh,
not. It's not very cool anymore to say you're just. I don't have anything going on.
I'm
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, nobody says that anymore. I've learned that. I've learned that from my kid and the friends that he had. Like, nobody says that anymore. Yeah, yeah.
No,
It's
no,
not cool.
no.
Not cool. Yeah, no.
It's not cool. You're a
Nope.
loser.
Oh, oh.
Nobody wants to talk to you, so you need to stand out in some way. So I think we're going back. For instance, last week, by the way, with Michael, our fellow friend,
Yeah, yeah.
we created a speed dating event. We
Okay.
call it raw speed dating. We
Yeah.
now have changed it to raw speed networking because
Okay.
we actually had 10 people not showing up because they thought it was a romantic speed dating.
Oh my god. Oh my god. You should have come to me. I know a thing or two about naming and branding. Okay, come on.
Yeah, but I wanted to, I wanted to
I
also
know.
stir out the.
Sure. Sure.
So I did it on purpose, but there was too much blood on the floor. Uh, but 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 when I was looking at people, experiencing new connections with people, that's the greatest drug for people to experience. It gives the biggest kick. You can drink 1,000 beers and it won't even measure the emotional when you meet new people.
Well, it comes back to the thing we were just talking about. Like, it's such a small way of saying you matter. There's something about you, right? That so everyone just wants to feel a sense of being part of something, belonging. But that word belonging is just like, and it's a small way of like getting recognized that you matter. That there's something about you, right? That moment you have a connection. There's something in common, and you can always find common. That's why I'm so positive about humanity. If I was to just, so my wife is from Wisconsin, and I'm Danish, right? So you can imagine her being from Wisconsin. Half of her family is very conservative, and half is very
Yeah, yeah,
liberal.
that's the where the
The
battle on
divide
the
is, yeah,
streets and
exactly, you know? And so if you just saw what the family wrote online, you'd go, "Those are not my people. I'm never gonna talk with them," right? But the truth is when you get together with them in person, they're all lovely people.
of course.
We can always find common that we care about our family, our kids, we wanna be successful, we wanna have good lives, we like vacation, we like this movie. There's always common ground to be had, but that's not what you're led to believe if you just look online. It's
Mm.
so geared towards raging us and dividing us in so many ways, and I just don't think it's true. I'm sure in these, like, speed
The
dating
populistic
networking.
like you saw back in the 30s with Hitler. But we don't need to worry anymore because Trump got finally the peace prize.
He's happy now. He got the FIFA Peace Prize, which I thought was hilarious. I'm like, what is this thing? I've never heard of the FIFA. I've been a big fan of FIFA for a long time. I watch all the finals and everything. I'm like, what is this thing? I've never heard of it.
I
Is
would
this new?
say because I'm of Jewish heritage,
Yeah.
when it came to knowledge that that FIFA was going to be held in Qatar, I was like, all right.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I know. Oh my God.
Yeah, and connecting the dots with Trump and Qatar now. And,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 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 for sure. Well, he's waiting for his plane, right? Isn't that what he's doing now? I think.
yeah,
Was
yeah,
that
of course.
Qatar? Yeah, I think it was Qatar, right? He got his plane from. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, you got
Must be
the
nice. Is all I'm gonna say. Must be nice.
yeah, it must be fun. It was genuinely be fun to be him, to be honest.
I know, I know. I have everybody kiss your ass all the time. Yeah, it must be nice.
Robin Daniels, it has really been a pleasure talking to you. You are really inspiring. I can only see that that your company is gonna fly like crazy, and doing it with human connection is only gonna actually matter.
Exactly.
No, and that's important. So hopefully it will actually get embedded to any
Mhm.
SharePoint holder, not
Yeah. Yeah,
shareholder, but SharePoint holder.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I know it hurts.
Well, I hope so. It's become my life mission. I mean, like, this is the hill I want to die on. You know, you all find it like at some point in your life, this is the hill I want to die on. It's like anything I can do to bring more humanity out in all of us, meaning bringing us together, that sense of belonging. And part of it is culture, part of it's leadership, part of it's how we treat each other. But you also need the right technology, and this is where, of course, my company comes in. But it's more than I'm not naive enough to think that technology alone is going to solve this. Many more things have to solve this. Yeah, I will fight for it every day.
Thank you, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Robin Daniels.
Woo! We made it happen.